The Wandvac 2 from Shark is compact and attractive, but does it still... Hi, it's Dave T here, and the one thing we've found with caravans over the past 20 years is that being basically in a field, it's very easy for dirt, gravel and grass clippings to be traipsed into the van. Having just converted to a campervan, we found that the fact that it is also a day-to-day vehicle and there's less tendency to have an awning and ground sheet, well, even more mess gets brought into the van, which is why we started looking for a new rechargeable vacuum. We had previously been using the Dyson V7 Trigger, which is a great vacuum, but it's bulky, and when transporting, any dirt and fluff inside can tend to fall out of it if not stored absolutely correctly. So after looking at lots of options, we actually purchased a Shark Wandvac 2. So the Wandvac 2, not to be confused with the lower powered Wandvac 1, comes in a fairly presentable box that's 455mm by 183 by 115 and covered in photos and feature information. Inside the box there's the Wandvac itself, a duster and crevice tool, a multi-surface pet tool and the charging base, which comes in two parts and has a mains plug adapter. The cord for the charger is 175 centimeters long. If you are considering using the box for storage, you may be disappointed as the charging stand, once assembled, won't go back into the existing packaging. The Wandvac itself is 395mm long and its not quite circular body is about 70mm in diameter and weighing in at a truly terrifying... Yeah, now we know why they call it a wand. Now you can use the Wandvac without the attachments, but you should be aware that the charging contacts are right next to the kind of air dust inlet. So personally, I take care not to use it without an attachment, as otherwise dirt and stuff might actually clog up the charging contact. With the crevice tool added, it becomes 535mm long. Using the Wandvac is about as simple as it gets. There's a power button which you press to turn on and then press again to turn off, which on balance is probably better than a trigger given the ergonomic design. The LED on the power button illuminates when on or when charging, but I'll cover that later. Noise wise, well, it's a vacuum cleaner. There's also a boost button which increases the suction power and noise level, and again it's a press on and then press off arrangement. In terms of performance, it works pretty well, certainly as well as I'd expect a vacuum of this style to work. It's designed for cleaning small areas, and from that perspective, what it lacks in power it makes up for in agility, being able to get into most confined spaces, so perfect for caravans, campervans, motorhomes or cars. The crevice tool is long and slim enough to get into most nooks and crannies, and its flip over brush is useful to agitate more stubborn dirt. The multi-surface pet tool does a pretty good job on carpets and upholstery. Now I did try to perform some vaguely scientific tests, first trying to suck up a pile of tissue pieces, sand and then wood chippings from a gradually closer distance. As you can see, I'm not entirely sure if this really proved anything, but it amused me for a few minutes on an otherwise dull afternoon. With those tests inconclusive, I went for the hard stuff and found some white powder. As you can see, the multi-surface pet tool attachment made pretty short work of this on a carpet. The stated runtime is 15 minutes in standard mode, and I tested this and managed 15 1-minute bursts. Yeah, that was another thrilling quarter of an hour. Dust is held in a small compartment on the back of the wand, which is made of clear plastic, so easy to see when full. Emptying is pretty easy. Simply press and slide the white catch on the back and the clear back flips open, then simply shake the contents out into a bin. According to the specs, you can vacuum up 1/10 of a litre of dirt before emptying, and I'm inclined just to believe them. There's also a small flap that stops debris from within the dust collector falling back out of the nozzle. This is a definite advantage over our Dyson, which has no such barrier and frequently deposited dust in the car when transporting it. One thing that is worth noting though is that the dirt can collect behind the filter unit, but you can tilt this up and out of the way to clear it out more easily. To charge the Wandvac, simply place it in the base, and assuming the base is plugged in, it will start charging. The LED pulsates to indicate it is charging, and it is very subtle to the point that you can hardly tell, which is not a bad thing if charging it in an enclosed space such as a caravan or motorhome overnight, or if you're purchasing it for a small bedsit, since this will definitely not keep you up at night. The 27.36 watt-hour battery takes about 3.5 hours to charge. Lithium-ion batteries typically should last for around 300 to 500 full charge cycles, so I'd expect this one to last several years at least. If the battery does die, you can currently buy replacements for about £40. And with Shark's size and reputation, there's a fair chance that parts will be available in the future. There's a small filter inside the waste compartment. You can remove this to clean it by tilting back the housing upwards and then using the small metal wire handle to actually gently pull out the filter. Clean it by gently tapping it to remove any excess dust, and then you can rinse it with water. If you have rinsed it with water, make sure you leave it for 24 hours before reinstalling it. And by the way, you can buy new filters for £11. Storage and charging is where this vacuum definitely loses a few points for caravan or campervan use, and possibly won't be to everyone's liking at home. It is very much designed to be stored inside, that is on a worktop or shelf. This makes perfect sense for quick access, but less ideal in a small kitchen or the limited space like a van. I'd prefer if there was an option to either wall mount the Wandvac or at least just have a charge lead to kind of plug in the side of it. The charge base, if you decide to store it in full view, does look nice and has storage points for the accessories. The Wandvac itself looks quite sleek and presentable, so I can certainly see it looking good on a worktop. Because on this channel I rarely avoid the opportunity to modify or just generally fiddle, I actually designed and 3D printed this base for the mouth of the Wandvac to sit in, and then this cradle with a swing door to hold the upper part of the body. This can then be screwed to the inside of a cupboard in the van to keep everything neat and tidy. I'll still have to take the charging base with me for when the Wandvac needs recharging, but this is neater for day-to-day storage. I'll post the files for the stand on Thingiverse, but please note that I can't actually offer printing services. Also, if you already have or want to buy a camera tripod bag, then they are often the perfect shape and size to store the Wandvac in. So what's my conclusion about the Wandvac? Well, overall I'm happy with it in terms of cleaning, which is after all what we got it for. It generally performs well and it's quite compact to store, and perhaps more importantly, being a pretty regular tube shape, it's not difficult to find a location or bag in which to store it along with its accessories. The base is less than ideal for charging the Wandvac in a location where there's limited space, but in the van we'll not likely be using it so much that we're going to be regularly charging it. And to be fair, I was 100% aware of this limitation before purchasing. Hope you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, and if you have, then please do hit that like button, and if you're interested in seeing other videos I make, then please do consider subscribing to my channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos that I post. But most of all, thanks for watching.